Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. I have the blank. I have a bingo. I have triatic. And what's good about this is that I'm using the blank as one of the letters on my rack, so I'm minimizing the number of floaters available for my opponent. And I have vinifera through the R of triatic. I can't see a 7 on my rack, and I can't see any other 8s. So hopefully that R will remain available. If it is taken, I have a fairly balanced rack, so I ought to be able to make a reasonable score and leave a decent rack leave for next go. The C is the most attractive floater for my opponent in terms of score because it grants access to the double word squares, so hopefully he will be drawn to the right hand side of triatic. I didn't think there was any better move than triatic, so I didn't spend time looking for one. There may well have been other bingos with that rack. It's quite a promising set of tiles. So if vinifera, look at that, vinifera is blocked, but only just. What a shame. That would have been a splendid start, 2 back-to-back bingos. So how best to deal with this rack? I certainly need to play off the V and one of the I's, and preferably the F, and leave a decent vowel consonant balance. I think Vinic is good, V-I-N-I-C. That would leave F-A-E, which isn't great. 2 vowels, 1 consonant, and the F, so hopefully I can do better than that. So I could play 5 at G3 for 16 points. That's not great. So what else can I play? I could play Viner at J6. That's quite nice. It doesn't open up anything for my opponent. Rack leave isn't great, but it's not terrible. And 24 points is not bad. It's more than I would have got for Vinic. I don't have a 7. Can't see an 8 through the floaters on the board. I'll be looking to play off the F and the U as a priority. So poof, P-O-U-F would be reasonable. I'm not sure if that goes anywhere. I could play OUP at G6, leaving fine on my rack. It is retaining the F. I would prefer to play it, but fine isn't a terrible rack leave. I do have a 76 point lead at this stage, which is good. I notice that the ION in column 8 is available for a word ending ATION, so as long as that stays open I'll try and maintain awareness of that possibility. So my opponent's provided a C as a floater. He's also blocked my OUP play. He hasn't provided anywhere for me to play poof. So what's available? I'm looking at the sea of Triatic to see if I can play down from it or onto it. Can't see anything. Cat takes an S in front. I don't have that. My opponent may do. Awa takes a P in front, which I have. And I could then place the U in front of the T. But I don't have a tile to go in front of the I of Triatic. Oh, this is quite a tricky rack. And I could play a word with the sequence AUP in it, but I don't have such a word. So how can I play my F? I wonder if I can play through the I of Triatic. Fino and Foin keep the U on my rack, that's not good. I've got the up prefix. Well, this is proving a problematic rack, and it didn't look like it was going to be. It's a fairly even balance of vowels and consonants. I've got 4 different vowels. Usually that would mean I would have an array of options. I'm still looking at the C of Triatic. That is the most promising option, and I'm actually looking for any word that goes through that C. At the moment I've seen none. Well, I could play Fusi for not many points, but the rack leave of open isn't bad. QF is good as well, which I could play at F6. Now I have the un prefix as well as up. And PFUI is good. That doesn't go anywhere. Well, yes it does. Let's see what this scores. 18 points is a good score, certainly better than Fusi and QF. It obstructs row E for my opponent, putting the S in front of cat. Rack leave isn't great. More vowels and consonants, but it does retain the E and all the vowels are distinct. Now, what do I have? I have one time. Can't see anywhere where that plays at the moment. One time takes a Z in front to make zone time, which is an anagram of monetize. I do have the floating C of cat to consider. There may be something through that, but I'm not seeing it. And I've got the P of Perfui. I've got Centimo through the C of Triatic, so I'm not going to struggle to find any words at all. I don't have the A for the Asian play in column 8. Now, I do have the IN for an ING ending word, but I don't have such a word on my rack. One time doesn't play. My opponent got 17, so he's still 60 odd points behind. Goo takes nothing in front. Centimo scores 22 points, which isn't great, and I'm also burning 6 tiles on my rack, and I don't need to do that. I need to leave a balanced rack, so a play of MOE, for example, at C12 coming down would be better than Centimo. 15 points that would score. Now, do I have something better? OF takes a T after it, which I do have. So I could play Met. I can't then extend that to the C, because I can't play TNC in the middle of a valid word. I could play Meint at A12 down. 25 points. No, that's not good. Or rather, the score plus rack leave isn't better than this. This is only 15 points, but the rack leave of EINT is really strong, and I'm not opening up anything for my opponent, and I'm retaining the IN for the ING ending in row D. Great, I draw the second blank. I have Nettling in row D. Yes, I do. And I have, well, I think I have Sentinel in column 12, beginning with the C of Triatic. Now, Triatic, I believe, takes an S at the end. So that is a bingo lane. Column 13, rather, is a bingo lane. Awa takes a Y at the end. Great, Nettling has not been blocked. That's good news. I think it's probably the best bingo lane. Well, before I rush into playing it, AYE takes a B in front. No, I don't have a bingo with my blank as a B. Just placing the B above the double word square to minimise my opponent's score if he uses it. Nettling 68 points. I draw the Z. I don't have a bingo, either a 7 or an 8, but I've got O's which go well with the Z. I have Uzo, which uses the U as well. I'm not sure if there's anywhere to play that right now. No. But I ought to be able to score well with the Z. I've got Zoril at A8 down. That would leave LOU. Not a disaster. That would be 42 points. Viner takes an L at the end. Zoril has not been blocked, but my opponent... Oh, this is great. Look at this. It's not a 7, but it's a high-scoring 5. 69 points. That is a good response to my opponent's bingo of Agenesia. It outscores it, and it retains OU, which is not great, but there is a degree of synergy with them. And Zoril also blocks the triple word square at H1. Just checking in case I'm missing something obviously better, but I can't see it. And I draw the X with 6 vowels. I'm 130 points ahead. Certainly don't wish to change if I can avoid it. I could play Ox at A14 down. 36 points, that's pretty good. I would like to play off one of the U's. Zoo, XU is good. I can play that at C8 across. 22 points. That's a lot less than OX. But it may be worth taking that hit to split up the duplicate U and to avoid giving my opponent a high scoring opportunity in column 15. Now I don't have to play off my X as a priority. My opponent's played the Q. I do have a U. But I can't see a way of reaching the triple word square at H1 or O1. So 2 U's is not a good idea even when there's a Q on the board. Now I could play this. And the advantage of this is it scores reasonably well. Plays off one of my U's. It opens up row A, which will distract my opponent from using the Q. I have the U. I have a AU, so there's a good chance I will be able to hit the triple word square at O1. Let's see if I can. Well, I could play quit. Be a shame if that's all I've got, but it may be. It would be 39 points, which is good. When you're 110 points ahead, it's good to keep the score rolling along. Not regardless of rack leave, but one should be wary of taking a low score in order to improve your rack leave, because it's a huge advantage having this 100-point cushion. There are no more blanks in the bag for my opponent, so that reduces the likelihood of his bingoing. I have got 5 vowels, so I don't need to prioritise playing off the W. Oh, that's good. My opponent's only scored 30 points in row A. I note that both B's are still available, and there are hotspots, 2 hotspots for a B at B2 and at A13, making bow and bay. There are no U's left. Well, this doesn't feel great, but actually the vowels go well with the W, so I ought to be able to keep scoring. Well, I don't draw a B. opponent did have it. So, can I keep scoring? I've got the W and the F as scoring tiles. I can put the F at C2, but I cannot reach H1 with that. So I'm looking around on the board to see where else I can play my F or my W. Or both. Few scores 32 points. AEOT. Well, it's not great as a rack leave. Let's see what vowels are in the bag. 2 A's, 3 E's, 2 I's, 2 O's, no U's. So there's not a huge number of vowels left. I should be okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. And I have creosote at H12 through the Sea of Triatic. Both few and triatic take an S at the end. And I note that in addition to the S on my rack, there are 2 others unseen. I don't have a 7-letter bingo with this rack. I don't think so anyway. It would be an extremely high probability bingo, so it would certainly be one I had studied. So creosote is the only bingo I've seen. And there aren't many floaters on the board. There's the W of few and the T of quit. Can't see anything beginning with the W. And nor is there anything through beginning with the T that I can see. So, whoops, there goes my creosote opening. My opponent has provided a new floater in the D. Do I have a bingo through that? I'm still 90 points ahead. I don't have to bingo, but it would be a bad move to miss one. No, can't see it. So 18 tiles in the bag, 7 on my opponent's rack. I have a very bingo-y rack. If I play off OE, the rack leave of rates is fabulous. So although I don't need to fish for a bingo, I think it's the right thing to do. Eight points. Am I missing something obviously better? No, I'm not that I can see. Darkest, and that I can make chards and darkest. Starked is good. I can play that at D14 down. And fuse is also good. But I think darkest and chards is best. Great. The D goes on the premium square. Darkest, starked, and I think straked. Darkest and chards, 92 points. Wow, that's a big score. I draw 6 consonants, 1 vowel. Not a great rack at all, but I am 150 points ahead, and there are only 7 tiles in the bag. The remaining tiles are quite bingo-y, so my opponent may get a bingo, but it's not going to win him the game. Now I have drawn the B for going in front of I at A13. I'm not sure I can use it to great effect. 3 in the bag, so I'm looking to play off 3 tiles. So I could play bid at that spot. 27 points. Actually, that's not a bad thing to do. There's no point in particularly hanging on to the bee to try and get a high score, because I don't think I'm going to get a massive score with it anyway. But 27 points is pretty good. It does leave 1 in the bag. Shroven is not good. Don't think I have anything through the L of Mal or the D of Bid. Darkest doesn't take an S at the end. I have the N to go in front of the Y of a buy at C1. My opponent has almost certainly got a bingo. That's a great set of tiles that are left, which you can see at the bottom of your screen. But even if he does bingo, I will have the opportunity of one final move. So I'm just looking around to see if there's any great spots. I've got the H and the V as scoring tiles. I have Hove and Hoven and Hover. So I ought to be able to find something. Well, my opponent's now got Stonia, which plays at D14 down. And I think he's got something through the L. I think Retinols is good. And he's got Norites at C1 down, so he's certainly going to bingo. I could play Shrove at D14 down, not a great score. I've got 2 minutes left to try and find something, or to try and find the best move I can. I do have the over prefix. Over quit isn't good. The O goes in front of the Y at C1. I'm just wondering if I have got something which goes down to H1. Well, if I do, I can't see it. Let's see what Hosen scores. It's 27 points, that's not bad. I'm sure my opponent will be going out with this go. He certainly ought to be. If for any reason he doesn't, I have 51 seconds to play my V and my R. So I'm just looking around to see what's available. It's possible my opponent could play a phony. I may be stuck with the V, which would be annoying, but not a disaster. It wouldn't cost me the game. There are many opportunities for playing just the R. Well, I've got van at J11. I'm just looking to see if there's anywhere else. Droniest. Think it's good. And it is, and that's the end of the game. And the final score, 444 to my opponent, 513 to me. That's a winning margin of 67 points. Quite a high scoring game. Let's see what I missed. This was my opening rack. A multitude of possibilities. Nothing scoring more than triatics. I think triatic was best. This is where Vinnie Ferrer was blocked. I could have played Via at G9 for 26 points. Instead I played Viner for 24 and kept EFI. Yep, Via would have been better. This was a move I struggled with. I didn't see Pounce. And I didn't see Coupe. But none of those options are particularly fantastic. Great, no missed bingos here. And a whole bunch of scores in the 20s. I think Mo is fine because, although it doesn't score in the 20s, the rack leave is a lot stronger than the rack leaves for the options shown. Here I had many bingo possibilities. I played Nettling for 68. I could have got 2 more points for Sentinel or Contline. Both of those would have been opening up row O, so I prefer Nettling. Zorrel for 69 was best. X and Ox at A14, that was the move I considered. Instead I dropped 9 points in order to play O's. But look at the rack leave. My rack leave was EIOU. The rack leave after X or Ox was 5 vowels including duplicate U. I think it's worth taking a 9-point hit to improve the rack leave in this particular instance. Quit for 39. Fetoir for 36. That's nice. It does open up row O. So I think few was a better play, but Fetoir is a nice word. Great, I didn't miss a incredibly high probability bingo. I didn't play Vase at J6. Oh, look at that, that would have been nice. Vase, Far, Quite, and We. I think this was where I played off just OE. Now, although OE scores 8, Vase scores 32, which is a 24-point difference in score, most of that will evaporate because Rates is just a phenomenal rack leave. And I did bingo for 92 points, and Darkest was best in that spot. This is where I played Bid, nothing scored more. Just see if my opponent had a bingo at this point. No, he didn't. It's unfortunate for him. I think it's the E which really helped him. And here I could have played Nosha, which I wouldn't have been sure of, at 1C, making Nye, and Shrove at K10, which I didn't consider, making through the R of Shards. Well, that wouldn't have been great because that would have been opening up a 9-timer possibility for my opponent. So I think actually looking at the options suggested, Hosen was best. And droniest was a good bingo spot by my opponent. So a great game, no huge errors, always good to break through the 500 point barrier, and particularly satisfying and gratifying after the horror fest which was the previous video, which I attribute in part to fatigue, but nonetheless, whatever the reason, it was a grim game with lots of errors, and it's nice to put that behind me with a score of 518 points. So I hope you enjoyed watching that video. I think there were it was a wide open game. There were lots of possibilities to consider. I found the Pafui rack particularly difficult, but a number of others were also quite knotty and gnarly. So I hope you enjoyed watching. My name's David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.